Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Debajit Ghosh. He is a senior leader with over 2 decades of experience in the upstream segment of the oil and gas industry. He has held key positions in asset development, business planning, external reporting, finance, petrophysics, and team leadership. With strong global exposure, Mr. Ghosh has demonstrated expertise in facilitating cross-functional collaborations, setting up multinational teams, and maturing large-scale projects. He is highly skilled in crafting and executing actionable roadmaps, driving business process improvement, and delivering operational excellence. In his latest role, he has served as team lead, Central Reporting Service, PNT at Shell Technology Center, Bengaluru, and spearheaded various initiatives, namely pioneering the Central Reporting Service team in Shell and transitioning it with a sustainable approach, amongst others. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Mr. Ghosh.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Ghosh, could you let our viewers know in brief about your professional journey so far?
Yeah, thank you, Sunny, for the good introduction. Sunny, so
Sure.
I have about 22 years of industry experience in the oil and gas upstream business. And before I explain my journey so far, let me give you a minute of overview of how the upstream segment works. So if I would like to give you an analogy, if you say you're building a large residential complex, the first phase is we plan for it, because we don't come and build the complex immediately. And then we execute it. And we execute typically in a phased manner, say first tower, second tower, the infrastructure, and then people start living there. And after that, we maintain it. The society is maintained once everything is over. So similar is upstream oil and gas business. These are multi-billion-dollar businesses where you actually do the planning, which we called as front-end development, followed by executing the plan, which is drilling of wells and putting up platforms, etc., the pipelines and the infrastructure. And the next phase is produce the oil and gas as you have planned. And things will obviously go wrong, and all the time it doesn't produce the way you planned for, so you have to take mitigating measures. There is another phase, because we are in an environmentally sensitive business, production of oil and gas. So we can, once the production is over, we cannot live like that. We have to abandon it as for environmental standards. So in this 4 phase, I have actually spanned the all 4 phases. So with this introduction, let me tell you how my journey has been. After graduating from Indian School of Mines, I have started my journey from Reliance Industry as at that time, the founder, Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani, was still alive. So he had a vision of having an integrated oil company. After the refinery, he wanted to have upstream presence also. So we were a small outfit who just have in the verge of taking some blocks from the block bidding process of the government. So in the first phase, 6 years in Reliance, I started with bidding for hydrocarbon blocks for potential exploration. Followed by, we actually got in that after the bidding is done, then we have to set up the team. So I was involved in setting up the petrophysics department, because there are certain technical disciplines within the oil and gas upstream business. I was actually tasked to set up the petrophysics department, and thereafter in the later phase, drill wells, hydrocarbon wells in the block KG-D6, which is India's foremost gas producing field as we know it now. So we discovered around, I think at that time, we estimated 30 TCA, trillion cubic feet of gas reserves in Krishna Godavari D6 block. And I was associated with drilling the first 25 wells in that block. So bidding for blocks, setting up the departments, and then followed by drilling the exploratory wells. Thereafter, I joined Shell. And in Shell also, I will differentiate between three phases. First was in Bangalore. Second is in Brunei for 7 years, and followed coming back to Bangalore, doing some corporate roles. In the first phase, in Shell, it was like Shell being Shell at that time. They were using internal software at that time. The first task I was the first task I was given is to develop a market standard software in petrophysics. So development of a software, followed by, once again, that was first Shell set up the business in India in 2006. I was one of the first experienced hires. So we have to set up the team also. And as I said, the first phase of the work is about planning of potential hydrocarbon fields. Those planning of fields across Asia Pacific was done centrally from the Bangalore office. And by default, as one of the experienced hire, I got involved in the front end development of those fields. Then I was asked to go to Brunei. Now, Brunei is a 90-year-old asset. When I went, it's probably close to 100-year now. So Brunei was a matured oil field. We call it brown field, followed by development work going on. So I became a team lead first time to manage one-third of Brunei's production. It is a field called Champion West. And then after that, I did something called cluster development lead, where you take care of not only managing the existing field, but also potential development as well as abandonment of fields around it. So from the development, managing of the fields as well as abandonment. So that's the last stint I did in Brunei. Came back to Bangalore with the kids growing up. I thought that I should go back to India. The last stint I did was more of a corporate role, where large multinationals, as you could imagine, have businesses all over the world, and they are in partnership with local governments, local companies. As a result, the business planning need, although done at a local level in every company the multinationals operate, but at a corporate level, they need to be integrated. So in the upstream business, I set up a team here for Shell to help in the group-wise business planning, and at the same time create SEC compliant reporting. Now, SEC is the world's most powerful and large market regulator, the US market regulator, and they have stringent rules to actually comply by the standards, and which is different than the business planning. That also, I created a team here for delivering SEC compliant reporting standards, for Shell. Thereafter, I realized that I have been doing this and I shouldn't have regret going forward when I retire. So I left last year to try something on my own, more so in the field of education and finance, which is finance and investment. But yeah, means it's been a very steep learning journey since then, last 1 year. And here I am with you.
All right, Mr. Ghosh. So according to you, what are the leadership qualities indispensable to every professional who wants to excel in his career?
Yeah, a good question. In my experience, Sunny, I think it will be too naive to bottle the leadership into certain set of qualities. It is rather a set of values, qualities, and skills. Now, what I mean by values is something that we grow up with, means that is inherent in us, within us, means come what may, we will not going to part with it. And those are honesty, authenticity, deep regard for health, safety, environment, and securities. These are set of values that is either with you or not with you, and it cannot be learned growing up after a certain. I think it can be based on company culture, etc., but I think it's best people grow up with these things. So as a leader, one has to have these, at least the authenticity and honesty and deep respect and for health, safety, security, and environmental standards. Second is qualities. Now, qualities are qualities of human being. As we grow, we learn them, and we grow, we develop them based on the environment we are in, and also some things probably through our education, through our coaching, etc. And these are, to be a leader, one has to have qualities like end-to-end thinking ability, ability to plan and strategize, ability to create vision and get along with everyone, ability to integrate and have the ability to think outside the box, inventiveness and continuous development. This entire bucket of qualities, which in my definition, one should have as a leader. The third word is skill. Now, skill can be again divided into soft skill and hard skill. By hard skill, I think whilst people can become leaders without having hard skills, but I personally think that one has to know the business. Hard skills are also divided into technical and commercial skills. One has to understand, like I started as a petrophysics, and in my industry, if I like to give the analogy, if I have to be a leader, I need to know how the oil and gas produces, how it feels like, touches like, smells like, the physics and chemistry of it, how it produces. And what is the commercial side of it, the finance of it, how we make money selling this product. I'm not telling this part is mandatory, but I think better as a leader, one should have it is a learned skills. And so by skill, I mean something one learns to deliver it, something one learns and then have the ability to deliver certain type of deliverable out of it. On the soft side, the leadership discussions are mostly then revolves around the softer side of things, which is your ability to collaborate, inspire and motivate people, and so on and so forth, inclusiveness and diversity and inclusiveness. And in this aspect, if you read, there will be a lot of articles like one has to be a servant leadership and coaching type leadership, direct leadership, so on and so forth. And I think there are a number of jargons floating around if you read HBRs and Forbes of the world. What I have realized is there is no one single definition. People are so different. A leader has to understand what is the right sweet spots and to get along and inspire and motivate people for a common journey. Some people might be motivated through a servant type leadership, and some people want to be direction takers. Someone needs coaching, and a leader will be one who understands that subtle, understand the subtle nuances, the psychology of other people, and which matters to whom. In the end, to summarize, yes, you need to have certain set of values, qualities, and skills, soft skills and hard skills. However, in the end, a leadership is a journey of many successes, surprises, failures, twists, turns, conflicts. One has to have the ability to enjoy them and find the right sweet spots. There will be always forces pulling a leader into opposing directions, some pulling in the front, some in the back side, everywhere. And you have to navigate these opposing forces and find the right sweet spot. And there is no magic formula for that.
Rightly
Yeah.
said, Mr. Ghosh. All right. So you have strong sustainability inclinations. How do you reconcile your work role as a senior leader in the non-green energy sector, particularly the oil and gas industry?
Yes, Sunny. Once again, it's a very, very broad question. Let me try to set the context first and answer. So first thing first, the modern civilization, by modern, what we call the civilization of last 100 years, is based on oil and gas industry. It plays a role in transportation, to food industry, to development of our crops, to cosmetics, to clothing, to building of infrastructure and packaging and consumer durables, electronics, everything that we touch and feel from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed. Almost everything has some derivatives of oil and gas. So this means we cannot ignore this industry, number one. This industry has also helped pay a lot of taxes to the government, which helps build our schools and hospitals and social infrastructure that also boost modern civilization. However, you cannot ignore this industry. If you have to fix carbon, you have to fix oil and gas industry.
Right.
From that perspective, also means how do I reconcile? Like I was telling in my journey, if I recall the projects that we were maturing in from 2007, from the time I joined Shell, while in this capitalist world, the purpose of every business is to make money. Since that time, we have been talking about make money sustainably. While many businesses, it's only about making money, oil and gas moved into make money sustainably. We have been trying to develop projects that are net zero, which means our environmental contribution will be zero. Are we there? No. But yes, the awareness is there. So that helps you develop a lot of skills. And the third point I would like to say is a lot of technologies that the oil and gas business is developing or have developed is going to play a significant role in the net zero journey and the energy transition journey going forward. And to name one such technology is carbon capture, utilization, and storage, which is called CCUS, where you capture the atmospheric carbon dioxide, liquefy them, and put it back in the ground from where we produce our oil and gas. Now, I might be wrong, but as I know, there are 7 or 8 large-scale CCUS projects on their way to in the world in various places. We have been building, the industry has been building CCUS projects. If this can be proved, which is actually technologically, it's proven in many cases, this one technology can help decarbonize other carbon-intensive industries like cement, steel, fertilizer, um, so on and so forth, maybe thermal power generation industry, etc. So oil and gas industry is in the forefront of technology development, has been doing sustainable project, trying to do sustainable projects, mostly the multinationals. It has actually played a role in the industrial development of last 100 years. So yes, I am proud, but at the same time, I am cognizant of the fact that you cannot fix carbon without fixing oil and gas. And for that, we all need to come together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rightly said. So, Mr. Ghosh, have you ever felt that the oil and gas industry could become more sustainable? And what are your views on the green energy industry, namely solar energy, EV, and India's position in the alternative energy sector?
It's a good question. So let me answer in 2 parts. So there is 2 parts to the question, if I understood. One is, can oil and gas energy become sustainable?
Yes.
And the second is India's growth journey in the alternative energy sector. And can India be there where we aspire to be? So the first answer is yes. Oil and gas, I personally believe oil and gas industry can become net zero. Now, how? So one is, the first part is we run machineries. We run various kind of compressors and heavy duty machineries, and that can move from oil and gas based running into more electricity driven or hydrogen driven machinery. So that is probably, even if we move there, that will help reduce certain gigatons of carbon dioxide emissions. The second part is more about having same set of standards followed by all the oil and gas companies. What's happening currently is the multinationals or the bigger companies are trying to develop technologies to become net zero while others are lagging behind, and that way we won't get anywhere. How we can become net zero? The sure shot 100% way is to eliminate it. If I am scared of an accident going outside, if I eliminate my risk of going outside, there is no way I can get hit by a car. So if we eliminate it, that's the number sure shot way, which we cannot. The second sure shot way is prevent it. If we can prevent it better, and if we cannot prevent, then take corrective actions. How do we take corrective actions? Like CCUS, the amount of carbon dioxide we emit, if we can capture it and put it back into the ground, is a corrective action. Preventive action is if we are using oil and gas to run certain machinery, if you can run it by hydrogen or electric, that's a preventive action. Or in the end, we can also take corrective actions like, okay, we cannot avoid certain amount of carbon emission in the atmosphere. However, we can take actions like we plant X number of trees to offset that. However, for that, regulatory compliance is needed. As a world, all the countries together, we are not there. All the companies have different standards, all the countries have different standards. So that thing needs to be fixed. So second part is all the companies and the government needs to follow a same set of standards and tax them accordingly, which can, and the tax money can be used to actually offset carbon. So yes, if we do take these steps, I think we can become environmentally sustainable. And by we, I mean oil and gas industry. The third step is basically we will need to accelerate alternatives and renewables. So while the energy demand of the world is rising, uh, oil and gas is going to stay. In the best case scenario, probably the demand is going to flatten, not increase, and the increase in energy can be provided by actually the alternatives. So acceleration of the alternatives is the third step. So taking all these steps together, we can get there in terms of sustainable oil and gas business. Coming to the second part of your question, which is on the whether India can get there. Let me lay out some full context thinking here. Some of the givens. What are the givens? India's GDP, energy requirement, as well as per capita income is rising. Now, probably nobody doubts that. So energy consumption of India is rising. As this rise happens, India is and probably will be in the forefront of world's industrial development and growth as a major economy, which means that energy consumption is going to increase. Third set of given in Indian context is most of the energy that India uses as we speak comes from coal, oil and gas, and biomass. 75 to 80% of it. Remaining 20% is coming from other sources. So this nobody is going to doubt. Let's park it for here for a second. What are the business context of alternative? The business context is supply and demand has to be matched. If there is a demand for alternative energy, the supply has to be there. If the supply is in Rajasthan and I demand it in Bihar, probably there is a mismatch. So supply demand matching, it has to be there. There has to be technological feasibility. And one thing which is close to my heart is social innovation. Development of by social innovation. If I give you a example, invention of bus is a technological invention, but invention of bus stops and roads and people standing in queue is a social innovation. A bus won't do anything unless we innovate socially how to use a bus properly. So development of circular economy, shared economy, availability of low-cost loans, availability, change of value systems of the newer generations are all part of the social innovation that has to play a role. So this is the business context of it. And the third is the sustainability context of it. And by sustainability, we not only mean net zero in environment, but it has to be low cost, it has to be versatile, it has to be scalable, it has to be proven. How can we make a technology sustainable if it is not proven, or if it is not versatile, or if it is not low cost? So this all things comes together in the sustainability bucket. If you put everything in all these three things together, India can get there. Of course, we can get there. But in order to get there, I think we all need to appreciate the fact that it's not only policy and making statements, it's also about making sure every stakeholder coming together, the academia, the society, the industry, all kinds of other stakeholders out there. Everybody needs to understand it. Then whatever is out there in the mix, for example, solar, wind, nuclear, all these alternative energy sources also have their not so good environmental footprint, which is not yet fully understood or appreciated. If you give an example, solar, you need vast swaths of land, and we don't know how much of environmental impact it will have. Wind can actually cause blockage to migratory birds, and then battery. We don't know how to dispose it off, and there is geopolitical angle to it because China controls a lot of the lithium reserves, etc.,
Yes.
etc. So all in all, we need to understand the environmental impact of alternatives also. We charge our battery using electricity that is actually generated burning coal.
Right.
So with this, I would like to say that everybody has to come together. Human ingenuity in the end wins, but we need to win it together. Government and industry and society needs to come, as well as academia needs to come together. We need to change our education system, value system, shared economy build up, social innovation, and then we can get there. But if we miss it, it's a very complex challenge. And it's not easier said than done. We should not fall trap to rhetorics and think that we are there. Yes, we have taken the right steps in the right direction, but it's a long journey.
Rightly said and very insightful of you. Sustainability is a question of the hour and it is need to be taken care of, but it's a long journey and
Yes,
everybody
yes.
needs to come together to deal with this question. All right. So, Mr. Ghosh, you must have seen a lot of technological changes in your field. Which are some of the most significant and what changes do you see ahead with the introduction of technology like AI, ML, IoT, Web 3.0, blockchain, big data, etc.?
Yeah, once again, a very there is no easy answer, but let me try to answer it. So first thing first, AI ML is more on the data side, which is it can take a large amount of data and then create insights for business decision taking. Blockchain is more about, it's a distributed ledger for transactional interactions, monetary transaction, to contract management, etc. IoT is interface of the hardware with the software. So running of machines and then creating virtual reality and then how remotely having sensors everywhere. These are used in the present world individually as technologies and in their own way. Going forward, I think they will all merge. And if they merge, they will create newer economic agents. Big data will help in taking decisions, which then can trigger a payment using blockchain. That payment after that can automate the running of a machine. So the machines running and generating data and then creating payments all can be automated, and all these technologies can come together to create newer economic agents, which eventually lead to enormous efficiency gains, but will lead to a lot of job losses also. What will then human beings do? Nobody knows. But yes, there will be, we in the end human beings have to keep the control. So there will be human beings who will evolve to keep control of these things. But a lot of human beings might get redundant and who will not have any clue of how these things work. And there is nothing wrong with them because everybody doesn't have the same intelligences. That will lead to a lot of other skills like entertainers, healthcare workers, or for example, environmental caretakers, a lot of new skills like this. And you and me consume a lot more OTT content than our fathers and our previous generation used to contain. So requirement for more entertainers, more comedians, more healthcare workers, more mental health workers, etc., will increase. But then there will be a set of human beings who will be redundant, and unless we tread carefully, um, we have to understand the social aspect of it because we need to prevent civil war-like situation as well. So in a way, efficiency gain, and it's a mixed feeling in terms of how things will evolve. But nobody knows how exactly it will evolve, but I think these technologies will merge to create newer economic agents, which will take decisions on their own.
Okay. So, Mr. Ghosh, now that you are a certified ESG corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Yeah, thank you for this question. As part of experience in oil and gas industry, first thing first is everything we do we actually I used to do has to have a component of risk management and risk mitigation. So the first set of value I can bring is how, and by risk management and risk mitigation is mostly process safety risk, people specific risk, and environmental specific risk. And how do you mitigate and manage them? Second set of risk management is, so that's the first one. Second is strategy and planning. As I was saying that we have to be extremely thorough. In oil and gas industry, what happens is it's highly inflammable. You produce oil and gas, which is one of the most inflammable material at extremely high temperature and pressure from below the ground and produce it to the place where it is needed. So you better know how every nuts and bolts are working the way it is meant to be. So that means we have to have a thorough understanding of our strategy and plan and stringent control on the plans. So that's something I can also bring to the table, which is strategy and planning. Then impact assessment, which is another pillar of environmental sustainability. If something, God forbid, something goes wrong, how do you mitigate that? What is the cost of mitigation? So that's the impact assessment. And lastly, as you have seen from my last stint I did, is regulatory compliance. It's a big thing, regulatory compliance, and having done SEC compliant reporting, I think I probably bring some value on that respect also.
So, Mr. Ghosh, we are building FaceTime with Leaders community for cross-pollination of knowledge and a community of independent directors for having a better corporate governance in the country. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole team of World Development Corporation?
Sunny, I think it's an excellent initiative. There is no doubt about it. Now, I started my journey from Reliance. It's a great company to work for. I'm mindful, but I think in India, corporate governance is an issue. And there is a tendency for jugaad beyond a certain, which I learned after I moved into a multinational, that, okay, there are ways of doing things. Yes, there probably will be some news here and there. There is always skeleton and in the closet for almost every company in the world. But one cannot really get everything by jugaad. You cannot, we used to say a phrase called, you cannot kick the can out of the road all the time.
Right.
But at one point of time, someone has to pick it up and throw it in the dustbin. You cannot say that I kicked it out from the road and the road is clean. From that perspective, you guys are doing a great job. These skills are learnable skills. And the way you have set it up, I think it's a great job. There is demand for it. There is market for it. India is a growing economy. Every day new companies are coming. These are quite often than not are built by 20-somethings, 30-somethings who lack the wisdom and the compliance part of the companies. So yeah, I'm fully supportive and excellent initiative, to be honest. Yes, some things can always improve. How we can make it more exciting, how we can make it more challenging for the learners. Yes, those things I think you guys will evolve over the time, but it's very timely and pertinent.
Amazing. Great. So it was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire the future leaders. Thank you, Mr. Debajit Ghosh, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. And moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sunny. And thanks for asking me for this interview. I think I also enjoyed thoroughly. I hope going forward, we will have a meaningful relationship going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looking forward. Pleasure. Have a nice day.
Have a good day.